straight across from here to here. Anything dorsal to that would be sensory, anything ventral to that would be motor. That's just the way the system breaks down. So this back here would be the dorsal root, and the bump would be the dorsal root ganglion. The cords in the front would be the ventral root, and here's the spinal nerve, or your nerve root. That's how it goes. Okay? So any of these things can be asked on the ground. Then you have white matter and gray matter. They're going to make it beige. You dig in the model, they make it gray, so you look at it, it looks like it's supposed to, but no, we don't make it beige. So this is known as the horn region, and this outside area, which is the white, is known as the funiculus region. And that's all on your handout, okay? So if you just read, you have it. And what's this? What's the green? The green matter.
The plastic.
The green matter. The board. Boards, plastic.
I'll be done with it.
Okay, let's come to this now. This is similar to what, when you looked at the video the other week of her dissecting the spine. But this is the ventral side where she came into the dorsal side, removing. So here they've taken pretty much what away, the body of the vertebrae away to show you this. So it's almost like looking at a shell. So at this point here, this whole white thing all the way running down is your spinal cord. And right around here, around L1/L2, it's ending. And it ends in a cone shape called the conus medullaris. Now running right off the conus is this thin band that runs all the way down to your coccyx, which is made from the pia mater to anchor the spinal cord, and that is known as the filum terminale, or the terminal filament. That's all that term means. On each side of it, you have a bundle of nerves that look like the tail of a horse, known as cauda equina. That's where these names come from. As we come up in here, these little white lines that are between the ribs, those are nerves, intercostal nerves. These would be on both sides, but for some reason I only show it on one side. You got ganglion sitting here. Those would be your sympathetic ganglion. So when you talked about that communicating rami going towards it, that's when it was innervated. So the sympathetic nervous system comes out of your thoracolumbar spine, and the parasympathetic nervous system comes from your cranial sacral region. That's how it works. Okay, so you're going to see when we do cranial nerves, none will have sympathetic import. None of them do. They have parasympathetic import. Then we come up here, this is the brachial plexus. And the plexus goes from C5 to T1. Before I think to learn the individual group and label, I'm not going to do that this time, since it doesn't carry that much weight. But in practice, in the written test, you will have to know that on the end. So it's C5, 6, 7, 8, T1. But what it does, it goes from trunks, divisions, cords. The trunks will run superior, middle, inferior. The divisions go anterior and posterior. So in other words, what it's doing is taking something that runs this way and turning it this way to an anterior and a posterior plane. And that will be the cords. So you do have to know the cords. And the one on the top is the lateral, the medial, and the posterior cord. Now the lateral and the medial, they will come together and form three nerves that will take care of the anterior arm. The posterior will form two nerves that take care of the posterior arm. And one of them we don't learn, you don't see it well on the model, is the musculocutaneous. That would be taking care of the biceps end. But the other one that you will see on the model is the median and the ulna. The median will go towards your thumb, and the ulna goes towards the pinky. So in your carpal tunnel, the median nerve is what's involved in that condition. The whole back of the arm, from your knuckles all the way up through the triceps region, is the radial. And the shoulder, which is your deltoid, teres minor, would be the axillary. So that takes care of how these guys, what this thing going to become. So being we talked about it, let's show it on an upper extremity. So we take an upper extremity now, I'm going to show you. We've taken some of it apart so you can see the nerves, but if we come onto the medial part of this, this would be the ulna, and there's the median. The median runs with the arm. So as it goes down, the brachial would bifurcate then into the radial and ulnar artery. So as it goes into the forearm, the median nerve would then shift over and start running with the radial artery, and the same thing with the ulnar nerve, it's gonna stay running with the ulnar arm. All right, so the median's gonna come straight down here, and this would be the ulnar here. When we look at the back of the arm, well, this nerve back here is the radial nerve. And the nerve up here coming out, the circumflex artery here, that would be the axilla. Because you can see it's going right to the teres minor, which it does anyway. And it makes teres minor and down to it. So that's the nerves in the arm. So now we get to the leg. Here's the leg. Move back so you can film because you're too close. So if we try to look at the posterior aspect of it, just take it off. If we take it and look at the posterior aspect of it, that's the sciatic nerve. And what muscle is this that runs right over the sciatic nerve? No, the glutes are removed. Piriformis, remember that? That's the one that causes sciatica. Well, the sciatic nerve will come down then and bifurcate into two more nerves known as the tibial and the common fibula. This one's running with the tibia, this one's running with the fibula. It's its name. Okay? So, when we come around to the front of the leg, the anterior part of the leg, here's your femoral vein, artery, and here's the femoral nerve, which is going to take care of that anterior compartment. When we go into the medial leg, up here coming down, right here is the obturator nerve, which will go through the obturator frame and take care of the medial part of the leg. So those are all the nerves that you're looking at, and then there's one more thing and it's done. So this is the last heavy, and the lab's got reversed for next week. Next week, because we needed biopack or phys needs, so we can't use them because we don't have enough, because they're doing respiratory. We're going to be doing the special senses next week, which is a handout 3 that I put up on lab outline. So make sure you have that with you next week when you come. So in other words, you'll be doing visual acuity, the Snelling chart, hearing, and all that stuff, because that's special senses, okay? So you're have fun with that. Last but not least, the muscle. So each one of these is a muscle fiber, a myocyte, or a muscle cell, all the same. A myofibril are the little things inside it, but the myofiber is the bigger one that sticks out. And coating it, this pink would be endomysium. Now, this white thing would be the motor unit, and where it's meeting the muscle is the neuromuscular junction. So you're actually getting the visual of it. I bet you guess what that is? What was the calcium? What is it? Sarcolemma. Sarcoplasmic reticulum with the sarcolemma inside. That holds the calcium. The calcium would come out and then pour into the. So there's your M lines with the Z bands on each side. Okay? Remember, be able to identify a soccer band all the parts. You've been told. So if you can't do it, it's because you didn't listen to me at all. Can't get fairer than that. So today, you'll do a quiz. The quiz today will be your last quiz. So I take the best 5, and that'll make 6. So we take the best 5. If you missed one, well, that's your best 5. The quiz will be nervous system, so it's going to be, you're going to do, again, the biopack. You go in the normal way. Anatomical models, I don't want to see cadavers, anatomical models, so you kind of know what you're looking at. And you go in and you do nervous system, the peripheral nervous system. So you're seeing, they'll show cranial nerves and these spinal nerves. Okay? So that's what you're doing today. Last thing is the brain, and then we're done. So let's go over something that all of you have, but just hate to use it. So your parents have told you that over and over again. Like my mother would say, stop using your head like a hat rack. So this whole thing is your hemisphere or your cortex. And it kind of takes up a good part. This is you. That's your conscious brain. And on it we have bumps and lines. So the bumps are the gyri and the lines are the sulci. So the bump would be the mountain and the sulci would be the valley. It's the easiest way to remember. It's gyri, not gyro. Okay, not eating like a Greek sandwich. You know, you eat the brain, some people do, but so forth. But again, the gyri and the sulci. On the inside, number 13, just write 13 down on your handout, you'll know what to look at when you look at your models, is the corpus callosum. Do you know what the corpus callosum does? People have had anatomy before. It coordinates the two hemispheres. Can you live without the corpus callosum? Yes, because they'll cut that in severe seizure disorders. The only difference then would happen, you know your left and right without looking. You could do the same move, but you'd have to watch yourself doing it, because your left and right don't know what's happening anymore. You've separated the two hemispheres.
Is that the one where you can draw a circle with one hand and a square with the other?
In this
At the
case,
same time?
that person could, yes,
Yeah.
because their corpus callosum is really all coordinated now. Okay? Next step we go through, I believe, is the diencephalon, right? Diencephalon, which is here. So the diencephalon we'll learn when we get into, because we go heavy into the brainstem and all the parts of the brain. The diencephalon is your thalamus. And your thalamus is a big relay station between the brain and everywhere else in your body. That's your big homeostatic center. It makes up 80% of it. Then you have the hypothalamus, which has the pituitary, and the epithalamus, which has the pineal, which is melatonin for sleeping. That's your sleep cycle. So that's all here. But the other thing we want to see off of it is underneath. So number 11, the little pink thing, would be the pituitary, and number 15 would be the optic chiasma. So what happens, the optic tracts come in and they cross. At the cross, that's the chiasma. Then after that, they become the optic nerve, which goes into the eye for vision. Okay? Then we're going to go to, next, the cerebellum, which is your coordinating or smoothing out center. Without a cerebellum, we'd be like all over the place. So you have what they call intention tremors. Resting tremors are when I'm resting, I'm like, that's more Parkinson's, that's more up the brain, the dark areas of the brain. But this is when I go to get something, my hand is all over the place. Like this, that's an intention tremor. When I intend to move, I tremor. So that's this. And inside it, we have a tree. The tree of life, known as Abba Vitae. Abba for tree, Vitae for life. Right? To live. All Greek and Latin derivatives, okay? So and the last part is the brain stem. Now part of the brain stem, we're going to have the cerebral aqueduct. So number 23 to 17, that would be the aqueduct. What the aqueduct does is connect the third and fourth ventricle together. And we're going into the ventricles. We talked about the ependymal cells, which produce CSF in the choroid plexus. Well, they're doing that. The blood-brain barrier sits within your ventricles in the brain. You're going to meet the lab. Always late. They're going to fire your butt off as a nurse someday. You'll be history. So number 17 is the fourth ventricle. And then 12 is the pons. And number 9, this part here, is the medulla oblongata. Remember that from the water book? Adam Sandler? That boy ain't got no medulla oblongata. You making fun of me? Every time I hear that, it makes me think of medulla oblongata. So that's the lowest part of your brainstem. But in that part is where you have the respiratory, cardiac, and vasomotor centers, which you're going to learn. So your heart is controlled here. That's why fall just the right way and smash the back of the head, the person usually dies because you wipe out the centers that control the heart, lungs, and blood pressure. So they usually die. Someone falls and hits here just right, they'll die on impact because you damaged that part of the brain. Can't live without that. You can live without the higher brain, but you can't live without the brain stem. Because that's all your primitive functions. Sympathetic and parasympathetic functions derive on it. Okay? So there you go. So that's it for today. And remember, you got a quiz at the end.